first, brothers Richard and George despise each other.
Hello
For
mga
8
kamami,
long years
ayan.
has been bad blood
Karating
over
ko
a
lang
family
galing sa
home. It sparked one of the
aking shop.
wildest confrontations in
ng
ACCA
aking
history.
diin.
Now the final chapter is being played out.
Yung sa pagtulog.
Put that back down! Put that back down! These were the wild scenes the first time Richard and George Scaff faced off over who owns this humble home.
You have never paid me for the house. I paid you. What is my fault?
Now this ugly family feud enters its final chapter in the Supreme Court. Hi Richard, good to see you left the cricket bat at home today. There's now been 8 years of bad blood between these two brothers who grew up in a family so close they were godfathers to each other's children. But that bond was shattered after their mum died, and Richard Scaff gave brother George an eviction notice to leave the place he'd called home for 25 years. Their mum Suad used to live here in a quiet street of Dulwich Hill in Sydney. Eldest son Richard Scaff lives right next door, and 2 doors down is where George Scaff calls home, along with his wife and where they raised their 2 children. Back in 2015, George Scaff spoke to A Current Affair about the day he received an eviction notice from his brother.
I still find it hard that this isn't the same guy that I grew up with.
Meron kang naramdaman na
Send me a letter saying to evict me from my house with my family.
Richard Scaff's name is on the title deed for the house, but George claims their parents bought
Pagkatapos ng
him.
PCO,
They
yung
bought a
mga
house
nasa
for Richard,
likod ko,
and they paid it off for him. Then they bought a house for me, and they paid it off for me.
Supreme Court judge will now determine exactly who the house belongs to. When we first tried to ask Richard Scaff questions about the ownership issue, he came out swinging a cricket bat. Richard, Dan Noel from A Current Affair, mate. Put that bat down. Put that bat down. Mate.
Oh my God!
Put that bat down, mate. Mate, what are you talking about?
He's already put a hit on me with my life.
What are you talking about,
He
mate?
put a hit.
We're from A Current Affair.
You get out of here.
Mate, we're from A Current Affair. You just attacked that man for no reason. You came at us with a cricket bat. There was never any murder that we could determine, but there was about to be several assault charges.
Why are you thinking it's my house? You're not. Why are you thinking it's not your house? Is it? It's not your house. It is my house. It never has been, George. I paid you for the house. You have never paid me for the house. I paid you. You want to start criminal?
Mate, that's assault, mate. That's assault right there. We're calling the police. While we called police to help deal with this fiery confrontation, another attack on our cameraman sparked a few punches from George Scaff.
Get up to me again.
Police arrived and arrested Richard Scaff, who faced court 6 months later, pleading guilty to a charge of common assault and 2 counts of malicious damage. George Scaff also pleaded guilty to 1 count of common assault, with both brothers placed on good behaviour bonds. Those matters were dealt with 8 years ago, but the issue of who owns the house has never been resolved. The closest we ever got to an explanation from Richard Scaff came amidst that wild brawl.
You're bringing back to the you know that.
Richard, why are you evicting him from his house? That's what we want to know.
It was never his house. He never bought the house.
How long did he live there for?
It's my house. It's my house.
How long did he live there for?
Mum bought you a house and bought me a house. Mum never bought you a house.
Now the case comes to the Supreme Court, where Richard Scaff was tight-lipped on day 1 of proceedings. What are your thoughts on the case? Hoping the judge is a cricket fan? No cricket bats today, but one of Richard Scaff's supporters was making a mess of himself. Hey, don't touch the camera, please. Don't touch the camera. I won't touch it, but there'll be another assault charge. There's already been a few assault charges. George Scaff also wasn't commenting on the case, with a home now valued at $2.2 million at stake. On day 1 of the hearing, neither brother spoke a word to each other. The judge was told neither party had documents to definitively prove who paid for the house 35 years ago, leaving it up to him to infer what had happened, with dozens of witnesses to be called. The most crucial witness to this messy dispute sadly can't take the stand. The brother's beloved mother, Suad, who died a year before this family battle exploded. What do you think your mum would make of all this? How do you think she'd feel seeing the two boys battling out in the Supreme Court?
I think she'd be heartbroken, don't you? Well, right now there's a massive search underway for the missing submersible with 5 people on board, lost while exploring the Titanic wreck deep in the North Atlantic Ocean. They have enough oxygen to last until Thursday afternoon our time, so the clock is ticking.
Starring, I got
The vessel was designed with a 96-hour
pain in the neck.
sustainment
Stiff
capability
neck.
if there was an emergency on board.
So I'm relaxing watching
we're
news.
using that time, making the best use of every moment of that time to locate the vessel.
The 5 people on board, a British billionaire, a French diving expert, a Pakistani businessman and his son, and the founder of the sub-company OceanGate Expeditions, Stockton Rush.
Taking a completely new approach to the sub design, and it's all run with this game controller and these touch screens. So if you want to go forward, you press forward. If you want to go back, you go back. Turn left, turn right, go down, go up. And it's Bluetooth, so I can hand it to anybody. And it's meant for a 16-year-old to throw it around, and it's super durable. We keep a couple of spares just in case.
Contact was lost about 1 hour 45 minutes into the dive on its way to the wreck of the Titanic, which sits at a depth of almost 4,000 metres. Director James Cameron has logged dozens of dives down to the Titanic in a similar-sized sub. But he's also been much deeper, 11 kilometres to the deepest point of the ocean, the Mariana Trench. I was lucky enough to meet him on that expedition in 2012.
You're in a place that's so remote, nobody could come and help you. I mean, if I got into trouble in Earth orbit, we could always ask the Russians to come and help us, or even the Chinese. There's no help where we went with this vehicle.
His dive would not have been possible if it wasn't for an Aussie, Ron Allen. A TV technician by trade, Ron built the sub for James Cameron, much of it in his garage in Sydney. The challenge for Ron, designing something that could withstand the enormous pressure so far beneath the surface and return the filmmaker safely. Ron joins me. Ron, really appreciate your time. There are 5 people on board this sub. They're running out of oxygen Thursday afternoon. How much hope do you have that they'll be rescued?
Really would like to see a positive outcome. Submersibles are designed with quite a few safety features. They have fail-safe systems, and hopefully, say they've lost power, that one of these fail-safe systems will drop a weight, and hopefully the sub will ascend at some stage.
Well, just take me through this, because at this point, obviously, we have no idea what's happened, but you understand this more than most. You are vulnerable when you're so deep in the ocean. What are some of the things that may have gone wrong?
Well, let's hope it's not an engineering problem. If the hull were to collapse, that is catastrophic. Hopefully that the engineering has been done properly, the materials are sound, and that the hull will stay intact. That would have been the worst case, that there would be a collapse of the pressure hull.
That's worst case scenario. Say it was an electrical fault, and that's something that's being speculated. Obviously, no one knows for sure at the moment. What would they be experiencing now? Would it be pitch black?
Inside the submersible on the bottom of the ocean is about 2 degrees C, so without power the sub will start to get colder. They'll be consuming their oxygen. They have carbon dioxide scrubbers, which will remove the carbon dioxide from that atmosphere. So apart from getting cold, and hopefully they have some warm clothing, sleeping bags. We certainly carry sleeping bags in Deep Sea Challenger. Should you be stuck without power and have to wait for a rescue? Just hoping that it is just purely a battery outage. The connector may have failed. They've lost communication. That it won't prevent a fail-safe release mechanism from working. it might be a powered mechanism, you lose power, it will release, or it might be a galvanic release, which might take 12 or 24 hours to release a weight. And
got
that
pain
will bring
in
it
my-
back to the
in my
surface as
neck.
well. So
And what if it is more catastrophic than an electrical fault?
I'm lazy to
not
dance
sure
and
if
let's
it's
to
going down
sing
there
and just want
looking
to
for the wreckage.
have a sit
There's
and relax and
no
watching
rescue
news.
vehicle
That's
really,
what I wanna do.
that could go to their aid. When you're diving with submersibles, often these submersibles is a one-off. It's the only vehicle that can get to the depths.
So if it's on the bottom of the ocean right now, there is no chance of the 5 people on board being rescued by Thursday afternoon.
If it's still on the bottom of the ocean, I'm going to say this, and it's collapsed, they would be no longer. But usually if a pressure vessel were to collapse, it is fairly catastrophic. It's over in an instant. What would tend to happen is that the pressure hull there is like a geometric shape, a cylinder or a sphere. They're inherently strong, while they are a sphere or a cylinder. But as soon as they go out of round, everything's going to collapse, like a tin can.
How do we not know where this thing is? Because we're trapping our kids. Surely we can keep tabs on us up.
Look, there are location devices, and they should be
Shout
able
out
to,
all my
keep
subscribers,
track.
please.
Deep Sea Challenger
Comment
had
down
an
below.
AIS system. Once the sub surfaced, it became a registered ship on a chart, and other shipping in the area would see it would come up as an AIS signal on their radar.
The fact that we don't know where it is, does that suggest to you that it is somewhere under the ocean?
If it hasn't been located on the surface at this stage, it's saying they could be just waiting time for a release mechanism to
No dinner, only this one.
act.
If it had made its way to the surface somewhere, could they then get out of that sub, let the fresh air
Oh
in?
my god, I need to get my
Influence that. The
My
hatch is
key.
actually bolted from the outside. If you were to open the hatch of a submersible on the surface, it would probably flood and go straight to the bottom. You'd want to get out really quick.
What you're saying is, there is a chance that this thing is on the surface, that the people inside can see the ocean, but don't have access to fresh air.
If they are on the surface, at least where the surface ocean temperature is a little bit warmer than 2 degrees, which would be at the bottom of the ocean. So they'll still be starting to feel cold, particularly without power. So it's hopefully that they do have warm clothing and sleeping bags to climb into.
Look, the sub is roughly the size of a minivan, and I remember you showing me how to get in and out of your sub at that time. It was tiny, I could barely fit, and I remember thinking how uncomfortable would James Cameron be inside this. You didn't build it for comfort, did you?
Ours is certainly not built for comfort. Ours is more the size of a small freezer. It would be as cold as a freezer on a dive. But no, it wasn't built for comfort.
Built for safety?
It was built for safety.
How do you rate the achievement of getting James Cameron to the bottom of the Mariana Trench, the deepest point of the ocean, and how much pressure did you feel? This is one of the world's most famous people.
The pressure at that depth is immense. The pressure on me.
Let's drink green
also,
tea.
Quite immense.
Even greater, Albert.
No thanks. It's
I know.
a fairly taskmaster, I guess, that we like to do boxes, making sure things were safe. He would often conduct meetings with the team. And he would be arguing for hours about a stainless steel washer versus a titanium washer. We wanted a safe sub. He wanted to come back.
It's obviously dangerous. Should this be something available to tourists?
As saying, if the engineering has been done correctly, there should not be any danger. So, you do sometimes accept a small risk, knowing that these are backed up by training experience or some sort of contingency.
So Stockton Rush, who is the founder of the company, who's obviously on the sub, so he's missing right now. He's talked about it being piloted by a video game controller, that the lighting inside was purchased from a camping store. And he also said this: there's a limit. At some point, safety is a pure waste. He acknowledged the risk with this type of adventure, and he added this: I think I can do this just as safely by breaking the rules. What do you think of that?
It's a bit of an unusual statement, I think. I just hope people, get out of it okay. Hopefully that if it's missing, it's going to be a time release, and I'm just waiting for that news.
If it does pop up on the surface, do you think it'll be found pretty quickly?
Yeah. No, I think I'd have to get a ship to it. I'm sure there's ships standing by that could put a line
How
onto
to
that
connect this
sub
one
to
to
keep
my
it on the surface.
Instagram?
Well, look, let's hope that there is some really good news between now and Thursday afternoon, and that they all return safely.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to a positive outcome.
Thanks, Ron. Living in paradise, how Muzzers made himself the unofficial king of Bali.
We're going to learn together the good and the bad, the highs and the lows of moving to Bali.
She was terrified. I'm just incredibly inspired by you.
Find out which parenting style is really good to chunky and never thin, or is saving, never sweet.
Bye for now. Welcome back
Sensation
later.
ignite, old gold never light. You,
Please subscribe my YouTube
You might
channel
say
if you are
nothing's
just new on my channel.
but you are
Bye for
a
now.
physics
Love you all
defying,
guys.
crossword
Bye.
cracking, dance
God bless.
crushing, wonder machine.